Hello and welcome to the 8th episode of the Daddy of 'Em All podcast, where we talk all things Cheyenne Frontier Days. I'm Tara Vreeland. I was Miss Frontier in 2004. I'm a former dandy, and now I work on the marketing team for Cheyenne Frontier Days. You'll want to stay tuned because we have an excellent episode for you coming up.
A part of Western history, a legend walking tall. Cheyenne Frontier Days, the daddy of all.
On today's episode, I will be chatting with former military chairman Tucker Fagan, who I know very well, and Hans Richard. You were also a military chairman, and your time as the chairman of Cheyenne Frontier Days, and the rich history between CFD and, of course, F.E. Warren Air Force Base. Welcome to the podcast, you guys. I'm happy to have you here. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you and learning all about it because the military is so important to Cheyenne Frontier Days as well as our country. So welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to be here, Tara. Good to see you too.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourselves, and your relationship to Cheyenne Frontier Days, your years you were involved, et cetera.
Well, I started back in about 1971. I was a young lieutenant on this base. I was from Bronxville, New York. I didn't really know anything about rodeo. And my boss said, okay, hey, you're going to help put on the Coronation Ball, which at that time I said, hey, I'm from New York. I don't like to meet people. I'm good at missiles. Let me do missiles. He goes, no, you're going to do that. So the next 3 years, I put it on, and Tara knows my wife very well, Carol. Yeah, we were at Little America. We're in the back room, and at that time, nothing was automated. So we had to sell the tickets, get the money. We're back there. We had maybe $50 in our bank account. We're counting out the money, and it came out exactly right. Both of us were like, oh my God.
Deep breath.
God, thank you. God, thank you. Because we were going like, God, if we're short, we're going to have to write a check or go get the money. We didn't know what the hell to do. It was really, so anyway, that's when it started. And so I got to know people in the Frontier Committee, and it was really cool. So then I left, went many different places, came back. I was a wing commander out here. And so, interplayed with the Frontier Days, left, went to the Pentagon, came back again. And then that's when I became military chairman for 2 years. And it's just a great experience. You think from a kid from New York would be around, guys like Donnie Kensinger taught me how to ride a horse, people like that. Just the greatest thing, greatest people, the interchange, all the people in town, just really cool thing. Just
Absolutely.
Really cool.
So are rodeo queens and the Coronation Ball more complicated than missiles?
Well, missiles is very static, all right? And we want it to be static. As you know, Miss Frontier, does she have the right clothes? We get her to the right place. We go into Albin, that kind of thing for the parade, all that kind of stuff. But it was good too, because you guys are just awesome. You really had your head on straight for young people, and you knew how to stand in front of the stands and welcome all the people, all those kinds of things. I was just really impressed with. So
yeah, I think so. And we all learn a lot from Cheyenne Frontier Days. You grow, and obviously you stayed. You're still here to this day. So I love that. Hans, what about you? What's your story?
So I came for the same reason. The Air Force sent me here in 2013. And my introduction was a little bit different. I was the boss over on the base of my little group. And they talked to me a couple of days after I arrived. And they said, hey, boss, get ready tomorrow morning. Well, tomorrow morning, we're going to go clean stands at Cheyenne Frontier Days. We were responsible for cleaning the stands at 5:30 every morning during the show. And I'll never forget one of those first few shows, there was confetti everywhere. There were little floating pieces of paper. There were about 20 of us. And that was my actual introduction to Cheyenne Frontier Days. I skipped over the fact I came as a kid. I grew up down in northern Colorado, and so saw it when it was a much smaller show. But in terms of being involved, that was it right there.
Yeah. Do you have nightmares about confetti to this day?
Oh, I
can only
got some
imagine.
stuck to me. I had it all over my uniform because we were already dressed for work. So
that's really special. And I know Frontier Days wouldn't be Frontier Days without the military and everything that you have done for us. And I know, what is the military chairman? Because we have different committees, we have different chairmen, and I know it's very different to be the military chairman. So what is it?
Well, the reality is, we're responsible to get the Thunderbirds here, that's a cool thing too. Every year in the Pentagon, there's a meeting between the Blue Angels, the Thunderbirds, the Golden Knights, and other teams. The Thunderbirds go there. They say, we're going to Frontier Days in July. So we don't even have to compete. I was stationed at other bases, Hans probably too. You wouldn't get the Thunderbirds maybe once every 10 years at best. And they put it on and said, we're going to be there in Cheyenne. I mean, we don't even know how good we have it because of things like that. So that, the Carnation Ball, and years ago, we brought a lot of equipment out. You know, we moved all the Indians with Air Force buses, things like that. So we did a lot of things, which over the years, they've curtailed that and said, hey, that's not proper use of taxpayer money. Yeah. But there's still, I mean, here's what happened to me. Okay, I'm a New York kid. I'm in my room. I don't go out much. And Frontier Days got me away from that and showed me a whole other side that got me, that opened me up. So I really felt really good about that. And that's what I look at. There are young kids over in that dorm that if we can get them out, and instead of playing video games, they're over at the park, meeting the Frontier Committee, meeting the mayor, meeting the governor, meeting God knows who else. That's cool. That gets them out of, you know, here I'm in like Cheyenne. Ew, what's this here? Got a lot of wind here or something. You know, it opens up a whole other lifestyle. So it's cool where we can have that interface with the, and it goes back, I guess, really the very first Frontier Days, the people from the base came across. There wasn't the interstate there. They came across with their horses, you know, it was cavalry. So it's been cool all these years.
And for years, there were military members marching in the parade,
Right.
you know, right down the middle of Cheyenne. There was a historic celebration called Fort D.A. Russell Days. And so that still goes on today. Those are predominantly some retirees and current military members that showcase some military history. So there's a very long history of close relationships between the rodeo and the military.
And the presence you have, like when the Thunderbirds roll into town, you know when the Thunderbirds are here, even when they're doing their practice, or you have such the precision of marching in the parade. And it's beautiful to see when the military is involved. And I know the selection process is different for the military chairman. You know, you got a call, right? Where some more have been volunteers, they've kind of come up through it, you know, and you weren't from here. So it was a little bit different for you too. And you're like, you know, what's in Cheyenne? A lot of the military is not here. So when you are more involved and you do get involved in the committee, what is that like? Just the selection process?
Well, I'm sure Hans faced this too. You get on the committee and there's a big table there in Frontier headquarters, and you know all the chairmen sit around and they start discussing things, and we're like, I never heard of that. I don't know what these guys are talking about. And they'd go into things and say, oh yeah, well, I knew him and he was in junior high over at wherever. and we're there like, huh? What are they talking about here? But it was good because they brought us in, they would kid us and teach us things. Hans, he knew how to ride a horse.
That's
I did
true.
not.
I had grown up with horses.
Yeah, so he was good. I'm like, I've never been on a horse in my life.
Were you scared?
No, because I had, again, Donnie Kensinger, who, if people
coach.
don't know, if you look at AA Barn, it's the Kensinger Barn.
Right.
And Donnie was just a good person. He recognized I'm a dumbbell. Okay, I'll teach you how to get on. I'll teach you how to get off, how you ride, and that kind of thing. Stuff like that. I'm like, how did I get here with people like Donnie?
I had a question for you. Did your boss ask you to do the military chairman job for the wing? How did that work? Because that's what happened to me. I was asked straight up by the wing commander at the time, would you be interested in being the military chairman? And that's fundamentally different from how the other chairmen are selected. But I'd be curious.
Well, I had been a prior wing commander. So I was wing commander, then I went back to the Pentagon. Then I came out to be vice commander at 20th Air Force, which was the next higher echelon up.
Right.
And there were people on the Frontier Committee who kind of politicked to get me to do it.
Gotcha. They already knew you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's an honor to be selected then and just to be called upon for that.
Oh,
so they saw
absolutely.
something
It's a big
in you.
job. I was intimidated. I straight up, it's a lot of work. And we had no idea. I didn't have any idea. I didn't have the experience that you had, but just fell in love with it right away.
But I tell a story about that. Dick Sherman was general chairman. Dick was a UW basketball player, big guy, strong. You ever played him in basketball? He would kick your butt all over that court. But awesome guy. So anyway, we come back. I have 4 kids, 2 dogs, and the house we're going to get on base wasn't ready. So we were in one of these little cottages. It had a little kitchen, a one bedroom with one bed, and I had 4 teenagers. And so we out in the little living room area, we pushed the couch over and got beds, and we were stuffed in that cottage.
They're still there and they're still small.
Saturday morning, we get a knock on the door like at 7:00. Stick Sherman. And so my kids are disoriented. What the hell's going on? And so he goes, okay, hey, get shoes on, get pants on or whatever. Hey, we got the Yellowstone bus out front.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting you on there. We're bringing you breakfast. So this was like 6 months later. Dick says to me, he said, Tucker, do you realize that I went down the street and I wasn't there while you guys were getting dressed? And I was like, I don't know. We were getting the 4 kids, 2 dogs. I said, no. He said, I started crying because I saw you guys stuffed in that little thing, and people don't realize what we do to our families.
Yeah, the sacrifices.
Dick Sherman. Good guy.
That's a great story.
Oh.
You'll never forget that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the impact.
And we had a great breakfast.
Yeah.
Better than this morning, but
Yeah, I know. That's good. Yeah, and that's, very different from probably your experience. So how have the roles changed, or, have you compared stories before of, what it was like back in your days versus your more recent days?
The role has changed even since I did it.
Mm-hmm.
The military committee has taken on more responsibility. One of my favorite stories is I had been the military chairman for just a few months, and I was still getting to know Tom Hersig, our chief executive officer. And he goes, Hans, you're going to be in charge of the grand entry on Military Monday, so I'd like to have a tank. I'd like to have a tank.
easy.
I said, Tom,
We're Air Force.
we're Air Force. We don't have that many tanks left. So believe it or not, if you ask most military members to get something done, we're going to give it an honest honest go, right? We're really going to try to do this. And so regrettably, we did not get a tank that first year, but we have had tanks since then. And I think when I say it's gotten bigger and expanded, it's because that grand entry is much more complicated than it used to be.
Yeah.
We have more total force, by which I mean Guard and Reserve members involved. So we've integrated a larger number of military members, I would say. We have more historical vehicles. We've also taken on a bigger role with the cowboy medics. I think that was that in play when you were chairman?
Yes.
Yeah.
We had it way back.
Yeah. And so it had
always people from, Hans was head of the hospital on base. And we always used, we had, a whole group of people who would volunteer over in the arena.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
And it's still there. It's on the east side stands.
A lot of people don't know that a lot of those guys are military gals.
And more recently, the medic shack on the other side, on the west side, that's also become part of the military committee. So more recently, the military committee has a cabin over there on the park, which is a newer development, and more members. So it's been a growing unit, I would say.
I think the cabin does, get people more closer together on the military committee. Before we had nothing. Everything was over on base. Then you come over to the park and do that kind of thing. Whereas now there is a central location, and every night there's a dinner, and people. So you socialize more. You get to know people as a human being. So even though that's the colonel, wing commander, you go, he's no smarter and dumber than I am.
Right.
It's nice to have a home base, but obviously Frontier Days would not be what it is without the military. And you touched on this a little bit, but kind of talk about the rich history here with F.E. Warren and Cheyenne Frontier Days and how this kind of came up and the importance of it. Like, what do you think the biggest impact has been from F.E. Warren and the military to Cheyenne Frontier Days?
Again, I'll go, it's both ways.
Yeah.
Again, you get young people, a lot of them, like me, first time you're away from home. You have no frame of reference. I mean, my first year or so, I'm going, do I belong here? Is this a good place for me to work? I don't know what this is like. So I look at even back on the base today, there's young people there from God knows, Chicago, Houston,
Mhm.
other places that have never seen, touched a rodeo, don't know what it's like, don't know what the downtown people are like. So you get that interplay with people. That is so important. That
Mhm.
humanity, to recognize the humanity
I
on
love
both
that.
sides of that. And I think it's good for the town too. Cheyenne is really good in the sense that, to me, there are so many people who either worked here or were in the Air Force for 4, 5, 6 years, got out, stayed here. Retirees like us stayed here.
Mhm.
That has permeated the town too,
Mhm.
and they look at us. There are other places where the base is looked upon as, who the heck are they? They're foreigners in our town. Whereas
Mhm.
here, the integration is really,
Mhm.
really solid, and
And
that
for
is
a
important.
for an
Beautiful.
active duty airman, that is so critical. I would say, my 12 assignments, this was probably the most welcoming,
Mm,
receptive town anywhere we went, all around the world. I had 10 years overseas, all over the United States, and
wow.
Cheyenne Frontier Days is a big reason, Tara, why we decided to retire here,
This day.
because we jumped right in, had a immediately available and accessible, really friendly group of volunteers that we were part of, and really welcomed us. And the military works for civilians, and without that firsthand knowledge of what it's like to be in the military,
Mhm.
then I think we're missing something. So I agree with Tucker. It goes both ways. That it's good for the community, it's good for the base,
Mhm.
and it's part of our history here. It
Yeah, I
really
love
is.
that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's going on a long time.
yeah,
We're going on
right,
year 129. So,
right.
and this is a question I would have. So, if somebody was brand new on base right now, didn't even know, hadn't been to Cheyenne Frontier Days or wanted to be a part of it, what would you say to them and encourage them to either take part or volunteer or get kind of nominated?
Hmm.
How would you encourage somebody to be a part of it?
Yeah, I say jump right in.
See, that's
I
what I think too.
absolutely.
And like me, I was
Yeah,
like, really?
Hmm.
I don't want to
yeah,
do that. I'm good at the missile stuff. I don't want that other garbage. And so you need somebody, in some ways, kick your butt a little bit and say, hey, you're wing commander, say, hey, you're doing it.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
uh, and so I think that's incumbent on some of the leadership too, to say, get over there. And, and they're going to march in the parade. And that's good too. You'd be surprised how many people are so nice to the troops
Hmm.
marching down the street. You hear
Right.
them on the side, and, it's like Miss Frontier. They yell at you more, but they in a very positive way.
Little kids, yeah.
Yeah,
It was a wonderful experience. Yeah,
Here it
there's
is.
so much pride
yeah,
in it. We
It
stand, you
is.
down the parade route, everybody stands
right.
when you guys walk by. So
Yeah,
it's beautiful. So yeah,
yeah,
I think jumping right in, don't hesitate,
Yeah.
maybe get outside of your comfort zone.
right.
If you had never been
Ride a
here, it's
horse. Do
just
something you haven't
do
done before.
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
So and
Three
yeah.
years ago, the commandant of Annapolis, where they train the young Navy people, he came out. So they called me and said, "Hey, would you take them around, just show them things like?" So we were on the stands, we watched the rodeo. He went in the parade, this kind of thing. He told me later. He said, "This is Americana."
Hmm.
He said, "I can't tell you how good I feel coming to see your people, all your volunteers,
Mhm.
how you do it, how you get the bulls out, and then you go to shoot 9, then you're back. Hey, God, you guys, this is awesome. And this is volunteers doing it."
Yeah.
He just said, I can't tell you how impressed I am with this community.
And every year, the military committee takes responsibility to get a very senior ranking general
Yeah.
officer here
Mhm.
who often serves as the grand marshal in the parade. And without exception, they all say the same thing. They're thrilled to be here. They want to come back. Maybe they have 4 stars or 3,
Mhm.
but every one of them is immersed in the community of Cheyenne, gets to meet some key players at the rodeo, and they have a wonderful time. And again, they get an opportunity to connect with a town here in Wyoming. So
Do you know of anything like it? Have you were commenting on some of your other tours and stuff. So what
there is
anything like
nothing.
this?
No, not
There's
even close.
nothing else like
Yeah,
it. I mean, the
nothing close.
world's largest outdoor, greatest, awesomest rodeo
Mhm.
ever. So,
That's the new tagline.
there you go. Right. I was stationed in Germany for 3 years
Mhm.
and learned a little bit of German just to be dangerous. Right. So my first summer, I'm walking around the back lots out here at the rodeo, and there's some people speaking German.
Yeah.
And so they hop off and they're going on and on and on. And so I walk up, start talking a little bit of broken German, and we had an amazing conversation. And they said for a lot of folks in Europe, this is on their bucket list. They
Mhm.
want to come experience rodeo, the Old West, American culture, and you're not going to find that all over the United States. They had a great time, and that continues to today. We get so many people from
Yeah,
all
I
over.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've talked about a lot of your fondest memories. Are there any other ones you want to share? And I also want to know, is there something that was not the best memory, but you'll never forget it? It was just kind of like, I
Cleaning
forgot
the
my
stands.
uniform.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
So,
too.
so that was 3 years in a row, every day, every morning. And it was the thing that's so interesting about it is it was a lot of junior people in the group over on the base.
Mhm.
And it really it connected them to the rodeo in a way that few other things will do. So I don't know what you would say, but I'm not going to
I
forget
did it
that.
too.
Yeah.
And up back in the upper stands, you go, what in the hell were they doing here? They were mixing garbage together and throwing it on the ground. What is this stuff that they're doing? Did they get bored during the run or something? I know some of the stuff you're like, oh my God. But I think here I was a wing commander. I'm up there, picking up garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool because we got paid. And so that paid for you in the military. It's common that when you leave, you get a plaque or something. And how it usually is in every other place is they say, okay, Willie's leaving. Okay, can you give us $2? Everybody gives $2. Here, you don't do that because you get that money.
Mm-hmm.
So that money pays for all the people leaving, or you have picnics or other things for the for your unit, your squadron, or your group, that kind of. So even that is a good thing. It's kind of a pain in the butt cleaning, but it's good. It works out for us.
It's like a rite of passage. You almost have to.
In a
I
way.
think we've all done it. Cleaning stalls.
Right. Did Miss Frontiers, did they do that?
We didn't clean the stands, but I cleaned up
I've always
after
wondered.
myself. I did clean up after myself,
You're
so
a
I
good
didn't
person.
leave it up there.
You
So
were a
no,
good
but we
person.
definitely cleaned the stalls. So I
Yeah.
mean, we trade you at some point. So
Cool.
that's fine. So what's what are you looking forward to this year? Because every year it comes, I get the excitement. I still get teary eyed during Grand Entry, and you just get so excited. It's in our blood, obviously.
Yeah.
So what are you most excited for this year?
Well, again, I mean, this is the way I look at it. About 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time, I say the train is on the track.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you do. It's coming and it's whoosh. And here's Frontier Days. And we're going to do the parades, the pancake breakfast. We're going to do the after show. We're going to have the night shows. All those things. I mean, all those things are just cool. You go down to the pancake breakfast and you think like, is this really a good deal?
Yeah.
And there's so many friendly people.
Do you like the pancakes?
Sure. Hey, yeah, I do.
I do too.
But that kind of thing where you hear all different languages down there and all the people sitting on the benches or hay bales, that's just cool.
Yeah.
And
for me, it's about the people. I'm a
Yeah.
people person, and it is really fun to spend that week together with a group of friends. You're going to see them. You're going to see them engaged in work, right? There's a lot of volunteer work that goes on, but there's a lot of time to sit and, share a story and get caught up and things like that. So that annually for me, that's the highlight, is seeing everybody and interacting.
Okay,
Yeah.
when I was young, I always thought, if I could make 10 grand more a year, all my troubles would go away. You never get there. It's the humanity.
Yeah.
That's what, you go to work in the morning to say, okay, I think I helped. And as commanders, we have the responsibility, create that environment where people want to come to work, want to help. And I mean, once you turn them on, it is, hey, can you help out? Go clean the stands? Sure.
Yeah. And the military is good at that. The military
Yeah.
committee in general,
I love that.
really works hard for the rest
The
of the park.
humanity.
Yeah, the humanity of it.
Well, and these volunteers, it was 2,500 back in my day, and then now it's over 3,000, and these
Yeah.
volunteers come back, and they come back. So
Right.
there's a reason you stayed here.
Yeah.
There's a reason
Mhm.
I came back. There's something here that I think is almost indescribable and intangible
It is.
about, and it's the humanity, it's the
Right.
atmosphere, it's the vibe that it gives off. So there's nothing like Cheyenne, and I completely agree with everything you said.
And there are people who go, this is my job. I sit by,
Every year.
under the
Mhm.
going through the underpass. That one guy was there for must be 25 years. And he,
Yeah.
that's my place. That's where I am.
Mhm.
And other people saying, hey, this is my job. I do it. I love doing it. I love being here late at night or early in the morning, or, you go like, and you're getting paid nothing. You're just doing it.
Something about it
It's
that's
so much
Yeah.
fun.
sticking around.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you guys coming on, Hans and Tucker. It's wonderful.
Well, I have one more story. here.
Yes, please
Okay.
share.
Here it is.
They're
See
great
this-
stories.
See this jacket?
Oh, yes.
In 1996, that was the 100th.
The 100th.
So I was on the general committee at that time. So old chairman got this jacket, and it's got the CFD on the back.
Yeah.
This jacket belonged to Jack Ferguson. All right.
Really?
Jack died. He was an Indian chairman. His wife went down to the tailor, took Jack's name off, gave it to me, and said, Tucker, I want you to wear this jacket.
That's special. It's
I
a
mean,
beautiful jacket.
Yeah.
I mean, where does that happen?
Mm-hmm.
That's what Frontier Days is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Ferguson said,
Yeah.
please wear this jacket to honor me and Jack.
Yeah. That's
That's
wonderful.
awesome.
I'm gled you still have it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's in great
Oh,
shape.
yeah.
It looks like you
Oh.
bought it yesterday, but no, there's more of a
You can wear
story
that
there.
this summer.
Are you
Right at
helping me?
Grand Entry, wearing it all when it's 100 degrees or it's monsoon season. We never know
Right,
what we're going to get.
right.
So, well, thank you so much for coming on. It's great to share your stories and to hear a little bit more insight about being the military chairman, whether you were kind of nominated for it or you wanted to do it or you grew up around it or it was your first time riding a horse. I mean, we all have these stories. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Hey, Tara, thank you.
Thank you, Tara, and thank you, Tucker.
Part of Western history, a legend walking tall. Cheyenne Frontier Days, the daddy